Good afternoon and good evening to some people. My name is Olena Nonvytska. I'm the Director of Jewish Cultural Arts and Education at the JCC in Ann Arbor. Some housekeeping items. We are recording this session. All attendees are muted. Please use the chat feature to send in your questions. We have activated the closed caption feature. Click on the CC icon on the bottom of your screen if you would like to use it. The views expressed by Chuck Newman and his guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Ann Arbor JCC. All previous conversation recordings can be found on the JCC webpage at jccannarbor.org. And now it is my pleasure to call on our host, Chuck Newman.
Thank you, Noemi. I have a co-host tonight who not only was responsible for recruiting Olena to join us this afternoon, but also is going to be handling a lot of my duties. So it is my pleasure to introduce Len Kirsch, a dear friend of mine and many of yours as well. And Len, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and introduce Olena, if you would.
So I moved from New York to Ann Arbor about 5 years ago because we have grandchildren here. But in New York for about 40 years, I was an aviation attorney representing foreign airlines in the US, companies that do business at airports. And around 15 years ago, I became counsel to a Ukrainian airline called Aerospeed. And on my first trip to the Ukraine, the first of many, I had a chance to meet Olena. Now, when Olena was born, Olena was a very popular name. So several of the staff members who I worked with were all named Olena. So to make it a little less complicated, I would call each one Olena and Olena K, because everybody seemed to have the same name. But and Olena tell a bit about her background, but we worked very carefully and closely because she was in charge of the airplane fleet. They would own a few aircraft, they leased aircraft, but in general, she was sort of international counsel. And not only did we travel together in the Ukraine 7 or 8 times, but she came to New York on business. We went to London to conduct an arbitration together. And over the years, even after the airline went bankrupt, Olena and I have stayed good friends. In fact, she and her husband came to visit my wife and I guess pre-pandemic. And during this recent outrage, she and I have kept in touch as often as possible. So Olena, tell everybody a little bit about your background.
Len, or Olena, you might want to explain why we can't see Olena at the moment.
Right. Yeah, you can't see me just because we have a blackout and it's obligatory for us to switch off electricity and lightning after 11 o'clock in the evening. So now we have almost 12 o'clock, and that's why you don't see me just because all lights are off.
And Olena, explain to everybody why there may be you may have to at some point leave the conversation. Everybody, what's going on?
And also, 30 minutes ago, we had air raid alert, sirens, and so we all have to go to shelters just because Iranian drones, Shaheds, are coming to Kiev, as well as the couple of ballistic missiles, according to notifications which we receive all the time. So online. So if it is loud, I will have to go.
So, okay, so Olena, tell us a little bit about what your husband does.
My husband is from IT, and he at the moment during the war he works remotely, and also we both volunteer, so we combine work and volunteer work. So we have some tasks which we have to do. So I can't tell in details what task we have. I will do this after we win the war. For now, no, I can't.
Chuck, you want to ask about how the war has changed their daily routine?
Sure. Or you can go ahead on these
Okay,
questions.
sure.
But I'll let you handle this.
Okay.
This is your tryout, Len. We're going to see how you do here.
So before the war, you worked for doing work for airlines. Your husband worked IT. Since the war, how has that really changed your life?
So actually, after the war started, after February 24, I don't have work. So I have, at the moment, I do some consulting services, but before this, I started doing this in February this year. But before this, I just volunteered. As for my husband, he works remotely, and he works online. Of course, when we have electricity and internet. So now we have this almost all the time. So he is busy all the time. But if we don't have electricity, then his customers have to wait until it is back, and he can continue provisioning his services.
So let me ask you something. In addition to times where you don't have electricity and utilities, how about food shortages or rationing? How do people feed themselves, and how do they buy themselves clothing?
First 2 weeks were pretty tough, especially in winter when, as you know, if there is no electricity, then there is no water supply and there is no heating. So we got all the cafes, restaurants, they bought generators, power generators, and actually we can go there and buy some food there. Or we can eat something cold. So it's a problem to do tea, coffee, or to cook at home, but we could go and buy something. Not immediately, as I told, in 2 weeks after we started having these blackouts. So now the Kyiv is called the city of power generators. So now it doesn't matter whether we have electricity or not. We all have generators, and we can cook. We can make tea, coffee, whatever we need. But of course, we use it very carefully and safely, because we can't use this all the time.
So Olena was able to send me some recordings of an air alert and a bombing alert. I'm just going to play it for everybody so you could hear basically what they go through. Okay. Let me get to the other one. So this is
how often are these warnings? Olena?
Yeah.
How often are there air raid warnings? Is this something that happens once a week, every day?
Every day. Sometimes several times during the day, and not only during the day, but also during the night. For example, as I've told just less than an hour ago, we had air alert, and it is still alert. And few days ago, we had, I think, 5 or 6 air alerts during the day and night. Then not the last night, but the previous one, we had 2 of them. It was very loud, and one of them we had at 2 o'clock at night up to 5 o'clock in the morning, and then the next one we had at 6 o'clock in the morning up to, I think, 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. And these were because of missiles, and the second one was because of Caliber missiles from the Black Sea. And that night they hit the house and people were killed.
Do you have a bomb shelter near your home?
We don't have shelter in our house, but the safest place which we have is near the lifts, the elevators, or in the bathroom. So we go there, just because if it is a ballistic missile, we maximum 5 minutes. So it's not enough to go to shelter. Shelter, for us to go to shelter takes 10-15 minutes. So it's not enough to go there, and it's pretty dangerous to be outside. So if these are shahed, because of shaheds, then we have some time. If it is because of missiles from Caspian Sea or from Black Sea, then we have around 45-50 minutes to go to shelter.
Tell us what it's like in a bomb shelter.
A bomb shelter, we use the parking space. We have 3 stores below the ground, and also the bomb shelter is the metro stations. So most of the people go there to metro stations. It's the safest place, actually, because the parking places are not the safest place. For example, C300 can hit it and can reach the lowest floor. Like it happened in Kharkiv.
I'm sorry, in one of these shelters, do they have bathrooms? Do they have food and water if people need?
They have just waters. They have just water supply, and that's it. Food people take with them. Usually, if we go to the shelter, to metro station, we have our documents, money, cat. People take their pets with them, as well as water and food, just because we don't know how long we will stay there.
Let me ask you something. At the beginning of the war, many Ukrainians left Ukraine, but many Ukrainians didn't even have the option to leave. Can you explain a little bit about why you and your husband couldn't leave?
You see, actually, we knew that it will start a few weeks in advance, and we got that recommendation to leave the country. But my husband has parents. They're pretty old. They're 70 plus. I have parents. They're 60 plus. And also I have a grandfather. He's 94 years old. So we decided that we will not go, that we will not stay. Whatever is going to happen, we will stay. And we just sent our sister with her kids to Finland, because for kids were afraid, really afraid. And we decided that for them it will be better to stay away, and we are here.
One of the things that I've never understood is how people who are out of work, people whose husbands are in the army, how do they pay their rent? How do they pay for food? How do they pay just for the necessary items that you need to survive?
You see, those men who are fighting, they have salaries, and they send this money to their families, and it helps them a lot. Also, they try to work. If they need food, they can come and take it. So we have special places where everybody can come and take whatever he needs. What sausages, bread, cheese, vegetables, whatever. As for the houses, for example, many people who left Ukraine, they can provide the apartments for their friends for free, or just for those people who don't have ability to pay, they can live there for free. The same with houses in villages. For example, if somebody lives in Kiev, but he has, as we call it, dacha or house in a village, they offer these houses to families from eastern parts of Ukraine, from Kherson, from Kharkiv. And they live there. So, for example, parents of my husband, they have a house which they don't use, where they don't live. So the family from Kharkiv lives there just for free.
Now, if I remember, you were building a house prior to the war. I don't think it was finished at that time. Is the house still standing?
Yeah, house is still standing. We were lucky that it was not destroyed. But in that village, just a few streets away from us, Kaliber missile fell down and 8 houses were fully destroyed. We don't live there just because it is necessary to finish it. So we have just walls, roof, and door and windows. No internal works, so it's impossible to live there. No water supply, no heating, nothing. So just a building. That's it. We planned that we will finish it last year and we will start living there, but the war spoiled everything, so we postponed it. Hopefully, if we survive, then after our victory, we will finish it and we will move there.
Yeah, I have to ask you a tough question. The reason I have to ask you this question is because it's really important for those outside of the Ukraine supporting Ukraine to understand what everybody is going through. Have you lost any loved ones or friends or other type of people that you know?
Yes. 3 people.
Terrible. Did you attend? I'm sorry.
One was my colleague from Aerospeed. Another one was close friend, family friend. And one was pretty young guy. He was just 22 years old. And in a month, he was supposed to have his 23rd birthday. 2 of them were killed near Bakhmut. And my colleague was killed near Kiev during the first weeks. I still have people there, and every day we are waiting just for short messages that we are okay, we survive, alive. So at least just a smile will give us understanding that everything is fine and they're alive.
Now, I understand a lot of people in Ukraine have relatives in Russia. Do you have relatives in Russia?
Yes.
How did they view the war?
Leni, it's the toughest questions for me, just because I stopped communicating with them on February 24th. Because it turned that they're brainwashed. They were trying to explain me that Russian army doesn't kill anybody, that this is all Ukrainian armies and all this terrible stuff, and they didn't want to believe and to listen to us, what we told them. And you see, for 2 weeks we stuck 85 kilometers away from Kiev, because on the February 24th, when the first missile was hit near our house, and we realized that it started, we took our CAT documents, money, and some stuff, medicines, food, and went to my grandfather to bring all of this to parents, to leave it there, because we thought that it would be safe there. And then we planned to come back to Kiev and to act according to the situation. But we stuck there for two weeks because it was pretty dangerous, and we couldn't leave my parents and grandfather there, because Russian airplanes were flying above us, just maybe 30-40 meters above, with full armor on wing. And Russian tanks were maybe 3-5 kilometers away from us. We heard how they shoot, how they bombed the near village. And so we realized it's necessary to get prepared to meet them. And there were 2 roads for them to go to Kiev. And they chose another one. And now I understand that if they chose another road, the road which was close to us, probably we wouldn't speak right now, just because the village which they chose, they fully destroyed it. Fully destroyed. There was no any single house.
You know,
and
it's so hard.
And when we told this to my aunt, this is my aunt. Her father is still alive. Her father is 94 years old, and she didn't want to listen to this. She told me that it's not true. It can't be. It's not true. You don't understand. So after that, we stopped talking with him.
Terrible. I mean, you know, what the Ukrainians have gone through is just so terrible. And what we read about in the newspapers is that despite a terrible toll on individuals and families. Ukrainians seem to still be supportive of basically the aims of the government to take back all of the occupied space. Is that true?
Yes. Yes. We will not approve any decision to leave territories and to give those territories to Russia. No, that's true. We support government, we support army, and if government or army decides that it is better to leave some territories to Russia, people will not support this. People will be against.
Wow. So
because
even if
Leni, you see, many people from those territories, they had to relocate. They relocated to Kiev, to Lviv, to some other cities and villages, and they want back home. Despite that everything is destroyed there, they want to go home. They want to return to their villages, to their cities, towns, on the eastern part or Crimea. They want to go home. That's why nobody will support.
I understand. And the military apparently has incredibly strong support of the population. I understand the top general is like your Eisenhower, who basically was, the top general and saved the United States during World War II. So I guess he is very well respected among the population also, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
So let me ask you something. How do Ukrainians view the United States?
We're very thankful for the support which we have from the United States. It's really true. Just because we wouldn't cope with this enemy just ourselves. We highly appreciate all these weapon support and supplies. So we're very thankful, very thankful.
About the EU, the United Kingdom?
European Union, United Kingdom, Baltic states, Poland, we feel this support, we see this support. I can't tell everything right now. I can tell more about the weapon which was supplied, and now I really can't tell about this, speak about this, but it really helps us. And with the Patriots which we have, we feel much safer. For example, the night before, I see 9 Patriot missiles coming out to catch the Russian missiles. So that's what I really see. I really saw flying just above our house and near and going to the right direction. And then I heard explosions, and according to the sound, I understood that these missiles were hitting the air, so they didn't hit any house, any infrastructure object. So they successfully were disarmed.
Did I understand you to say you couldn't talk about something? Was that because it's for security reasons?
Yes.
Sure, of course, we understand why people, and sometimes I believe, at least, that there's too much information published in the newspapers and in the news about battle plans and locations of troops, and I don't understand why.
Not all of them are true. It's a kind of white noise, maybe. So what is published? So actually, just maybe 10%, maximum 30% is true. All the rest, it's not true. And you understand that Russians, they also read the news and they also read all this information. They try to check it. And so that's why just to make them confused.
Olena, what do you think are some of the more reliable sources of news about the war?
My friends.
Aha. Well, they're not available to us, unfortunately.
Yes.
Do you ever look at social media?
Yeah, I read the social media, but I compare the information which is published in social media and with the information which I have from my friends, and so. But I don't talk about this.
I guess, you know, it's interesting. I think many Americans were actually pleasantly surprised that how supportive places like Poland and the Baltic states were after the war broke out. In the beginning, if I understand correctly, many Ukrainians went to live in Poland and in the Baltic states, and people opened up their homes. Must be just something great about the Ukrainian people that, you know, neighbors care so much.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of Ukrainians are in Poland at the moment, and Poland is very supportive, was very supportive, is still very supportive. And now those people who are in Poland, they have they found work, so they work, they pay taxes, and so they try to organize and arrange their lives. So they don't just sit and wait for money from the Polish government. They try to do something. They try to work and earn for their living. And also they send money here to their relatives who are in Ukraine. So that's true.
In the United States, and I think worldwide, there's a lot of discussion about reconstruction. Plans are being made, funds are being raised. One of the most interesting issues is that a lot of Russian cash is being held and not released to the Russian government. And there are those who say that the money should be turned over to Ukraine to help in reconstruction. Are you involved? Did you hear anything about plans being made for reconstruction after the war?
There are a lot of talks and a lot of plans. As for those money which were arrested, Russian money which are arrested, I'm not involved in today's, but I'm involved in some projects with dealing with aviation. So we have some plans, what to do, how to rebuild, and how to make it better than it was. But at the moment, no works are done because we don't know what we will have tomorrow, just in a couple of hours. Maybe we will start building and it will be fully destroyed again.
You know,
I just read that it was in The Economist that it's $330 billion of Russian money that is being held. You know, you could build a nice dam with some of that money.
Yeah, we can build some nice infrastructure, objects, houses, but those money will not return lives to people.
Yes.
And actually, this money will not return time. Because you see, Russia is stealing our time, our life.
You know, you and I worked together on bringing wide body and even some narrow body aircraft to Ukraine. Are most of those aircraft outside of the Ukraine right now, just simply because we can't risk losing them?
Some airplanes are out of Ukraine, some are here. Just few of them, not many. And some were damaged, some were not.
And do how do people, if, for example, if someone wanted to leave, go visit family in Finland or outside of Ukraine, how does one travel? I assume you can't travel by car or by plane. What do you hear about how people are traveling to go from city to city and sometimes outside of the country?
There is no problem traveling inside the country, but if to go outside, there is a problem. For me, for example, I can go, but my husband, he can't go. So men are not allowed to leave the country, or they have to get special permission. As for my sister, we haven't seen her since she left. So she left in March, March 15, I think. Yeah, March 15 she left, and we haven't seen her since that time. Just only online calls, and that's it.
She has children, correct?
Yeah, she has two boys.
And are they in school outside of the country?
Yeah, one finished, the elder one finished school online, and now he's the student, also online. He sent me copies of his documents, and I submitted them, applied them to the university. So he studies at the university online. And the younger one studies at school in Finland. Also, he studied in Ukrainian school online.
Wow. We hear about the heroic efforts of teachers to, either teach online or sometimes teach in person. I can't imagine what that's like.
You see, they use Zoom, and they send links to the kids, to the pupils, and then they connect, and teacher starts class. And you see, our teachers, even during the blackouts in winter, they took their laptops and they went to the stores, and where there was Wi-Fi, or to the metro stations where there was Wi-Fi, and they did classes from there, from shelters, from metro, from stores with Wi-Fi, from cafes with Wi-Fi. But they did.
But almost everybody is a hero. It's incredible to hear, how everybody is trying to make life continue. And so let me ask you, how about television? I know prior to the war, Ukraine had a very vivid and interesting television programs and shows. I know one would watch shows from outside the Ukraine, but there are also Ukrainian shows. Is there such a thing as television nowadays?
Yes, there is a television, but honestly, we don't watch TV at all. We don't have time for this, and actually, there are just news, maybe some programs, but I don't know. I really don't watch TV since February 24.
How about restaurants and bars and places for people to go to relax, get out of the house? Are restaurants open?
Yes, they are open, but there are not many people there. Usually those who come there, they just buy some, maybe tea, coffee, and they use Wi-Fi. So that's the main purpose.
How about supermarkets? Are most supermarkets open?
Yes, they are open, they work. Not all stores are open, a lot of them are closed, but as for the food stores, they work, they are open.
And if somebody went shopping in a supermarket but did not have the money to pay for the food, what would the supermarket do?
As I've told, if somebody needs food but doesn't have money, they can come and take some food on the special places. For example, what we do personally, we go to supermarkets and, for example, we buy two or three packs of spaghetti. We take 1 and 2 leave for those who will need it. Same with some other food.
Now, Olena, you had really no choice, but you had to seek some medical help. You actually had an operation. Can you describe what that was like, being in a hospital during a time of war?
I had a chance to go to Europe for the surgery, but my physical condition doesn't allow me to do this. So I had surgery in Kiev, and it was in May 18th. And at night we had severe nights. We had bombing with missiles, shaheds. In the morning, without sleep, I came to hospital and I had surgery. Surgery was around 3 hours. And then in the evening, no, at night, we had another bombing. So I was in the hospital. And I remember that I was looking in the window and I saw that the air defense hit Shahed and just spots of Shahed were falling down. It was, I saw it, so it was not very close, but I saw it and I heard it. So for me, it was easier to stay at home because here I understand, I know the situation, how to react and where to go. But in the hospital after surgery, when you have pain and actually you can't move quickly because it hurts, everything hurts. So during the air alert and these missiles Shahed, it was pretty threatening, and I was a bit afraid. Not a bit, I was afraid. I really was afraid.
All the doctors.
Are there times when you're not afraid?
Yeah, when I'm at home, I'm not afraid. We got used to this. You see, when I'm in my territory, where I know everything and I know where to hide, where to go, and what to do, and when I'm in fine physical condition, I can move quickly. I'm not afraid. Really, I'm not afraid. But in the hospital, when I really couldn't move fast because it hurt, and the place which is not, which I don't know well, I don't know where to go. And I couldn't even go. I was afraid.
Olena, what are you hearing about events in Russia? What have you heard?
You mean this Prigozhin show?
Yes. Circus.
Circus, absolutely, circus. The best illustration for this show is Russian tanks leaving the gates of Rostov Circus. So that's all.
What are you hearing about the current resolution of this rebellion, or however one wishes to characterize it? What do you think the current status is?
The current status, it is over. And I'm not sure that Prigozhin is alive, honestly. And I don't think it will change something. Actually, we didn't even expect that there will be some changes. You see, what he told. He was going to Moscow to actually, he was not happy with Shoigu and Gerasimov. But he never ever mentioned Putin, and he never ever mentioned that the war should be over, that Russian troops should be taken out of Ukraine. So nothing of this. He was going to talk with, actually to punish Shoigu and Gerasimov and come back to Ukrainian territory. So we didn't expect a lot from this show. We were just watching it. Just like a show, nothing more.
I mean, the one thing he may have accomplished was he admitted that all the excuses that Russia has given for the war were not true. And I don't know how widely dispersed that information is in Russia. Hopefully, people heard that message, and hopefully that will, result in additional opposition. So let me ask you another thing. I'm taking a look at some of the questions that people are posting on the chat. One of the things being done by those who are not in support of American and European efforts is claims that Ukraine still is a corrupt country, and that because there's corruption, Americans shouldn't help out. Do you have any thoughts about these allegations?
Actually, Ukraine was there was a corruption in Ukraine. But it was big corruption, but it was before the 2014. After Maidan, it became less and less and less. So we organized special institutions, and there were a lot of investigations against those people who occupied some positions, and if they really were corruptive, and it was proved that they were corruptive and they did something wrong against the law, so they were removed from their positions. So we didn't kill it for 100%, but I think it's impossible to fully eliminate corruption. It will exist.
Olena,
but, yeah.
even our well-educated and certainly well-motivated viewers, not all of them might be aware of Maidan. You want to describe what that was?
Sorry, didn't understood. What do you mean?
What happened in 2014? What changed in 2014?
In 2014, we had Maidan, and we had the President Yanukovych, who escaped the country. He was the most corruptive president of Ukraine, and actually he was supposed to be mini Putin, I would say. I think so. And actually many Ukrainians will agree with me. So they, for example, if you had business, his people can simply come and take this business out of you. So during his time, it was normal. And the same with the people on almost all state positions. Half of them were from Russia, and you couldn't get anything until you pay money to them, so bribe. But after Maidan, we started fighting with this, and as I've told, institutions were created, and those people, one by one, were taken out from their positions. Some of them were imprisoned. Some of them escaped from Ukraine to Russia. So we are still fighting with the corruption, of course, and we will do it as minimal as possible.
My understanding is that a number of American and European retired judges were brought in to help advise on setting up standards for judicial reforms and practices and whatever.
It's not the case just for one day. It's a process which will take some time, of course. But we are fighting with this, and so we don't approve the corruption. Even, for example, now if somebody tells me that, okay, you wanna permission to get electricity in your newly built house, okay, pay me that much, and then you will get the permission. Of course, I will not pay, and this person will be removed from the position. So I would simply advise about this to special organs, special authorities, and they will start checking. And if it is true, they will simply remove this person.
You know, I think it's important to realize that the Ukrainians, while they're fighting for their country, they're also fighting for Europe, because if Putin were to be successful, there is no reason in the world to believe that he would have stopped with Ukraine. In fact, there's a great deal of reason to believe he would not have. And Ukraine has to win this war. I think that the courage and sacrifice of Ukrainians are just an inspiration to all freedom-loving people around the world. And I can't begin to describe how much I admire you and the sacrifice of your fellow countrymen.
So actually, after Ukraine, they would go to Baltic countries, to Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, also Poland. And I doubt that they would stop there. I think they will go further because he's crazy. He's crazy man. He's like, not know, maybe Hitler, maybe even worse. I think he's worse.
Well, that's a contest that should never be held. So,
yeah.
So, Lena, our community is obviously very supportive. If there's anything that we can do practically to help, please let us know. I know a month ago, you came back with seeking we could help find a specific type of drone. But
yeah.
If there's any practical thing our community could do, please let me know, and I'll let the community know, because obviously we're very supportive of our government and our government's efforts. But if there's anything individually we could do, please let us know.
We still need these drones, and I will send you, because I've contacted my friend who raised funds for this drone, and so he advised me, because you see he's in the front line and it's pretty difficult to catch him and to talk with him. So now I got the model for the drone which they need, and also now I'm arranging the logistics how to bring it to Ukraine, because probably it will be necessary to deliver this to Poland, and then from Poland another colleague who is volunteering and driving, who's official volunteer, and he told me that he can come and pick it up and bring here, and actually bring it to the front line to my friends.
Okay. And I have some pretty good relationships with the Polish airlines, so I could get some assistance there in shipping the goods to Poland.
is there anything along the lines of humanitarian aid as well?
Humanitarian aid, medicines. There's a lot of people need treatment. We need psychologists, medicines, because a lot of soldiers are in the hospitals. And
if someone were interested in exploring that further, what should they do?
What should they do? As for humanitarian, I need to check, just because I don't deal with humanitarian stuff.
Well, to the extent
so I can give contacts with those who deal with pure humanitarian.
That would be very helpful. And since a number of people both are attending this session, of course, but also registered for it, then we will disseminate that information.
You see, I do some military stuff, drones, helmets, all of this. So I'm in this.
I bet you never thought you would be. No, maybe you did. I don't know.
Yeah, I have to.
A crowdsourced war.
I have to.
The world we live in. So, did I understand you to say you don't think that the prospects, either the near term or the long term prospects for the war, have been affected by what's going on in Russia and the Wagner Group? Or do you think it creates opportunities for Ukraine?
Maybe it created some opportunities for our army in the front line, just because they left positions, and I assume it would be easier for our army to fight for some cities, towns, villages. But as soon as they come back, then it will be again same difficult. As for Russian perspectives, in any case, Russia will collapse. They understand that they are losing this war. They will not win. And so sanctions, they're killing Russia pretty slow, but still they have some economical problems. The main problem with Russian population is that all of them are brainwashed. I speak Russian language as well. I understand Russian language, and from time to time, I try to find some Russian channels just to watch what is told. And honestly, I'm shocked how they. I see all these principles of neuro-linguistic programming of the population. According to my first education, I'm a philologist, and I've read a lot of books how to make a person a zombie. So all these principles are used in their TV, and it's impossible to imagine for those who don't speak Russian language. If I start translating what is said on their TV, you will be shocked. Really, you will be shocked, because they live in absolutely different in a mirror, so in absolutely different reality. They think that they are fighting not with Ukraine, but they are fighting with NATO. One day, like it happened during the First World War, that one day when there will be nothing to eat, and more and more their soldiers will be killed, and I think there will be kind of riot again. But when it will be, I don't know. We expected that it may start a year ago, but you see, still.
Do you get reports of Russian morale, the military morale, from your sources? Do they ever speak of that?
Russian reports? No, I don't have Russian reports.
No, of the people you know, have they described the morale of the Russian soldiers?
We have our army provides reports about how many Russian soldiers were killed, how many weapon was destroyed. So we have these daily reports, and according to our reports, there are around 230,000 killed.
Noemi or Olena, are there any comments in chat that we should?
I think I hit the most important. Look, I think we all understand, and one of the great tragedies is the loss of young, innocent Russian lives who have been misled, forced to fight a war that they don't understand. It's just terrible for everybody. And we can only pray to God that, it all ends soon, and that everybody can go back and live life again.
An interesting comment here. Please comment on how women are being treated in the Ukraine Defense Force. Men of fighting age were forbidden to leave Ukraine, but not women. Some women are apparently recruited and trained for combat defense, but how is it working out?
So some women who are in army, then I think there is no prohibition for them to leave country. So they leave country, but they can leave, but they don't leave. So they just trained, and if they're trained abroad, then they come back. So in the front line, we have men and women.
I see here that the Greater Lansing Jewish Federation is continuing to collect humanitarian aid, and they provided a link in chat. So we'll take a look at that and share that with others. And
there is one interesting one from Sam Rosenberg saying, Olena, I have sent a few drones to Ukraine already. You can contact me to help you. Sam, can you put your information on chat so Olena can have it?
Have him send me his email, and I'll coordinate with Olena.
That will be best.
Yeah, that would be best.
Okay.
Because I'm from the phone and I don't see any comments.
So there it is. You can copy it.
We'll send a
I see it.
to
Okay.
everyone who registered.
All right.
Olena, thank you for being with us and providing your valuable insights and for all that you're doing. I'm so pleased that you were able to sit out on your balcony tonight and talk to us without the anticipated drone strikes. It's hard for me to relate to such a life. And tonight is, it turns out, the last night that Noemi Herzig is going to be co-hosting and helping out as she is retiring and dealing with some family issues. And I certainly want to thank you, Noemi. You've been a wonderful partner in all of this, and don't be a stranger. You've made this flow so smoothly and made it so easy for me and our guests. So good luck to you in your future endeavors. Not quite sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not quite sure when we're going to resume, when our next conversation will be. While Noemi can't be replaced, hopefully we can cobble together enough infrastructure that will continue. And thank you, Len, for recruiting and being such a good host. Thank all of you for attending, and we'll see you on Conversations.
Thank you, Lena. Thank you, and let's talk tomorrow, okay?
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Try to get good night's sleep.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Please be safe.
Yeah, I will do my best. Bye.